played before, Mr. Stock. The same thing you played before. That's not what you played before. All right, Mr. Stock playing the banjo better than ever because, I guess because we have a banjo player on the show, Mr. Stock. Are you showing off? This is, by the way, the Mr. Poe and the Mr. Stock Show. I am the star of the show, Mr. Poe.
Welcome, my name is Michael Stock. I'm here with the show every week. The show is sponsored by the Folk Club of South Florida. What we do is present talented people who live in South Florida and introduce them to you and let them do what they do for you. And today's guests are Lionel Goldbart, the young and rising South Beach poet. Welcome to the show. Oh, is it I said young because it sounded good. I don't think that actually fits, but we'll get into that later.
Well, I'm born again.
Okay, okay. Well, then you are young. And the other guest is Robin McPhail, also like to be known as Rottin Robin, and certainly I don't know why you would like to be called that. Rottin? Can we call you Rottin or just Robin?
I'm a sanitary engineer. It fits.
Oh, is that right? Oh, so I like to see a man proud of his work.
You can tell by the smell.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but now that you mention it...
I noticed you have a toilet on your T-shirt there.
Oh, yes, yes, we have it. It's a boat toilet, though. Notice it has a pedal.
It's a boat toilet.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
So you're a nautical
John's boat toilets.
That's what it is.
You're a sanitary...
Next to Mr. Poe, that's got to be perfect, hasn't it?
He's a sanitary engineer who doubles as a yachtsman.
No, I'm a boat marine sanitary engineer.
Oh.
Sometimes.
Good, good. Well, since we're on the subject, how long have you been doing that line of work?
1974, I came here as a yacht engineer to then Harbour West, and I looked at all the boats and all the people, and I thought, wow, must be opportunity here, and I married a local girl in 76 and started off in the marine sanitary business.
And you came from England?
I came from Portsmouth, England, yes.
And obviously you like it here, doing well. And when did you get into the music aspect of it?
I joined the Unitarian Church, and one day I realized I was surrounded by musicians, and I thought I'd like to get to learn something, and I got involved with a local music shop, bought my first Taiwan turkey type banjo, and on a sort of rental use as you pay scheme, and I started doing bluegrass, but his pet saying to me was, if it's not Scruggs, it's flailing, which I thought was a little bigoted, and I then got into the old Appalachian type music a bit. But I'm a mess. I'm not a competent player. I kind of screw at things, you know, and I strum more than anything because it's easy and it works good in front of cameras anyway. And
we have a few here. That's good.
Right, and also I start writing my own songs like Mrs. Two Bums and Fishing and stuff like that, which kind of relate to me somehow.
Okay.
What did you think of Mr. Stock's banjo playing?
I'd rather not.
Oh, and he really was at his best today, like I said. You should hear him on an off day.
Actually, it's probably better than mine, but...
Didn't hear any bad notes.
That's just what I was going to say, Mr.
You were going to say yours better?
How about we hear some of your music so I could try to insult you, too?
Oh, you're welcome, you're welcome. I'm quite used to that. I'm thoroughly hardened to it, you know.
You said try to insult.
I mainly just strum anyway, you know. I have my song Mrs. Two Bums, you know, which is kind of rude and naughty, but I also fishing. Pardon?
Cultural song.
Pardon?
The cultural song.
Oh, I don't know any cultural songs. Good God.
Oh.
Only sort of talk.
Well, is Miss Two Bums, that's nothing dirty or anything?
Not really dirty, no. It's a bit little near, but no, it's not really dirty. Waddling down the street, she was a charming lady and was always nice to me. I said to her, you poor old legs, you poor old aching feet, do yourself a favour and reduce that great big crease. We have a lot of fun with it with just a little grease. He says that every inch to him feels just as soft as fleece. And though I'm straining my big heart, he'd cry at my decease. Last chorus slightly different. I met Mrs. Goldbart waddling down the street. After what I'd said to her, she stamped upon my feet. Take warning, dear neighbours, and whomever you may meet. You may feel the agony of crushed defeat. Anything else?
All right.
That's great.
Hey. You know, we have a poet. There's a poet right next to you.
Oh.
And you wrote those lyrics yourself, yes?
Yes.
Lionel, what'd you think?
Oh, I enjoyed them very much.
Robin, what did your wife think about the song?
Yeah, she kind of has to live with it. It's sort of. She actually, you know, she is. I don't upset her, so I'm okay. She'd probably kill me if she was 300 pounds or something.
You have a. I really like your style. I don't know what it is, but it's a real
Oh,
folksy type. Did you just take to singing naturally? Did you?
Yes, more or less. I like words. I admire Benny Hill and the Monty Python crowd and all that, you know. And I've been all sorts of weird things in my time. I've been a tunnel engineer, ship's engineer, taxi driver. You name it, slumlords, maintenance man. You know, I've done
It's
a little
nice
bit of
that
everything.
you worked your way up to sanitary engineer.
I work, yes, it's wonderful. Yes, yes. I also
This
work,
shows a lifetime of hard work and
I
it
worked
pays
with-
off in the end.
I worked with gypsies too, you know, at one time. I used to maintain gypsy vehicles, which means you start off with the rubbish you've got and try to make it work again.
That sounds fascinating, Robin.
So when you're working on the sanitary aspect, you get a little behind in your work?
Well,
Get it, Mr. Stark?
You keep on trying to be funny,
I think
Mr.
he's knocking at two bums again, but still.
Yeah.
That's a big behind. You get a big behind in your work. Whoa!
Well, we'll get back to you. I want to hear another song later on, but let's talk to our other guest, Lionel Goldbart. Lionel's been on the show before, and we completely exhausted the fact that Lionel is a champion Jeopardy player, and he proved it.
Jeopardy.
Champion Jeopardy player.
There's a Y on the end of that.
A Jeopardy player, and he proved it on the Jeopardy program by making it to the tournament champions and blah, blah, blah. But we won't get into that much more, Lionel. Although it's been quite a few years, and it still helps your reputation quite
It
a bit.
does, it does.
But Lionel does live on South Beach, and he's become a South Beach poet. How's business booming for poets on South Beach?
Well, it's doing very well for me lately.
How's that?
Well, I've been getting my poems published in South Beach, a weekly publication called The Wire.
Mm-hmm.
And my editor likes to call me the poet laureate of South Beach because that's strictly his opinion.
Mm-hmm. And who's that editor?
That's Andrew Delaplane.
Mm-hmm. Well, so you're kind of in with that in crowd there on South Beach.
Well, I don't know about that.
He's hip. He's hip, Mr. Stuck. He's cool. He's with it.
And also there's a new group, a poetry reading group, started in the Cabana Club. 161 Ocean Drive, that's Wednesday evenings around 9, 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. And what, anybody?
It's called the Big Horror Poetry Club. Yes, anybody's welcome.
Mm-hmm. And are you have any new poems?
Oh, yes, well, that's just it. I do have new poetry. When you introduced me as a young poet, I was, even last time when I was on, I was kind of going along recycling a lot of stuff that I'd read before. I'd go to poetry readings. And then the New Times named me their best poet, and that sort of, I didn't really deserve it. As I said in the article, that I thought of myself as a dead poet. And that sort of rejuvenated me.
The fact that you were killed off.
Yeah.
So,
So since then, I've started writing new poems, and that's why I'm going to read some new poems today.
how long ago was it that you were on the show, Lionel? On our show?
I don't know, about 3 years ago.
2 or 3. And how many poems have you written since then?
How many have I written since then? I don't know exactly, but not that many. Maybe under 10, but some.
But they're new.
They're new.
Great, so
Under
you figure
10.
10 poems in a couple years. I mean, that's-
Yeah.
What do? You write a line every month? You write a line, and then a month later you think about it,
it
you
varies.
try to figure out something that'll rhyme with it.
Sometimes it's like that, and sometimes I'm going to read a long poem later, and that took me less than an hour to write.
Well, what do you want to read now?
Now I'm going to read a new poem, and I must say this has nothing to do with anybody on this program. It's called Premature Ejaculation.
Oh, that has perfectly to do with Mr. Poe, then.
No, Mr. Scott.
Premature ejaculation. Between the salad and the entree, between the introduction and the dance, a totally overwhelming pinpoint coalescence of thrill betrays one. Again. Oh no. Oh yes. Stop. Can't. Go. Lunges. Plunges. Madly. Rushes blindly on and in. A moment's thrust. No more. And then, spent, one repents.
That's
It's not a problem for me, Mr. Stuck. Actually, you know, women usually say, "Would you hurry up?" Jesus.
Yes, I knew that.
Come on already.
well. What kind of when you read that over at your poetry meetings or whatever? What kind of reactions? Do
I
you
read
get?
it at Books and Books, and I got a lot of you know, looks, sideways looks, and stuff like that.
Look, I guess I think it's
From
autobiographical.
the
maybe.
blue-haired crowd and so forth.
Oh, I see. Well, that explains.
Actually, I tried
that your
writing this
audience?
when I really was suffering from this affliction, and at that time I was so embarrassed that my working title was PE. I didn't want anybody to know what I was writing about.
Well, that's mighty.
But now you know, in retrospect, I feel much safer about it. Although naturally, when it was printed, everybody thought that it was current.
So it's helped you. You think it could help other people?
I don't know. It's just I try to. It's more or less written to women to sort of explain it from the other side. You know what it's like. They're always blaming people. Every time I remember when I suffered from this. Every time, I always thought it wouldn't happen this time. And then when I felt it happening, I, you know, didn't know what to do. Just keep going. You know, sort of.
Well, how did you overcome this problem, Lionel, for the benefit of our
Oh, actually,
audience?
Actually, it happened peripherally to a spiritual development. I reached a certain point, and suddenly I knew I wasn't going to happen anymore. But it had nothing to do with sex. It was kind of after my daughter was born when I was making a lot of progress with my son.
Great.
So there it is for the folks at home. If you have this problem, don't worry about psychiatrists or Masters and Johnson. Just get in touch with
there
yourself
is a way.
spiritually.
You know, if you have the problem, as long as I'm giving advice,
Please.
there is a way. If no matter how bad you have this problem, if the woman will take the aggressive position and jump the man and sort of encapsulate him instead of him penetrating her, it won't happen.
Okay.
There
Well,
it is. There you go.
It amazes me, Lionel, that not only are you a poet, but you kind of know probably a lot about
Sexpert.
everything.
Is that a clue to read my long
Cover of the
poem?
year.
Which is,
well, before you read the long poem, let's just prepare it a little bit. Is this a recent poem?
this is a very recent poem. Actually, if we have time, I'm going to read a series of 2 poems I wrote, inauguration poems. One for the Kennedy inauguration and one for the Clinton inauguration.
Why didn't Clinton invite you? He had that other. They had
Well,
that
he
woman.
invited somebody else.
Yeah.
But it's still.
But when I decided to write the Clinton poem, then all of a sudden I got to thinking about the poet was Maya Angelou. And suddenly I got to thinking about the concept of Maya. And the next thing I knew, I had this poem.
This poem.
Yes.
The concept
that's
of
good.
what?
That's
Maya.
wonderful.
Maya. You mean like this? Like a Mayan deity?
No, this is Maya from India.
Oh.
Maya, this poem will explain it.
Oh, okay.
Maya is illusion. All is Maya means that nothing is real, which is perfectly true in the sense of mutability. It does not mean that if one takes appropriate steps, Maya can be realized, and everything, including the adept, will disappear. Where'd he go, they'll say, or do they go too? I tried this once by ingesting a very large amount of a very strong stimulant, and with total concentration, applying my attention to contemplation of the notion that all is imaginary, perfectly willing to vanish with it. Pretty scary, if the proposition was valid, which I disbelieved, but who knew? Anyone with a modicum of sense, of course. 4 or 5 hours went by. Then something did happen. I felt a distinct twist in my head, a shift, as in later Howard the Duck comics, of my cosmic axis. I had, long enough and hard enough, considered a completely nuts concept so as to skew my mind. I knew that immediately, and I was correct. The effect would manifest later. They did, fortunately. The invert's upside down is right side up. Heraclitus said one cannot step in the same stream twice. Thanks to modern science, one cannot step in the same stream once. All is Maya until the self-evident, unalienable right to life is assured and immortality is achieved. Someday, we should live that long.
Yeah.
That's great, Lionel. I really like that.
Man. Ooh. That was, actually, you know, Lionel, I have to admit, poetry has always been a little over my head. What was that all about, anyway?
Pardon me?
Explain it to me.
That was over your head? Well, I'll give you a copy.
It was up about here somewhere.
It's funny, but I mean, I just think it's under your feet since your ancestor is buried with it.
Lionel, what were those substances you were ingesting, those stimulants that you were talking
What were those stimulants? Oh,
Yeah.
Large amounts of methamphetamine for the most part. It gives you a lot of concentration.
I noticed you lost weight since the last time you were on the show. Did that have anything to do with it?
Large amounts of methamphetamine.
No, I enjoyed that poem quite a bit, Lionel, and
What did it mean, Mr. Starr?
you know, that's the type of poem that you could hear over and over and over again. It always have new meaning to it.
Well, hopefully our audience taped this show so they can rewind it and
Well,
watch
I
it.
hope so.
What did you think of it, Rottin?
I was sort of generally confused.
See?
Do you like poetry,
Let him
Robin?
speak, Mr. Starr.
No, I like wordology rather than poetry.
Wordology?
Yes, you know. I like some poetry, I suppose, but mostly when I want to recall poetry, I can't anyway.
So you're saying you like some poetry, but you didn't particularly like that one.
It took a lot of thinking about.
Was
Well,
it better
Lionel,
than Mr. Stark's
is-
banjo playing?
Well, Mr. Poe, shut up already.
Yes,
you're
yes.
carrying on too long. Lionel,
Well, I do the word sort of thing also, but
Yeah.
this was different.
well, is poetry becoming more popular, do you think, Lionel?
No, I don't think so.
No. Well, I'll tell you what, Robin, I want to hear you do another song before we run out of time.
Oh.
Okay. And do you get to play much around town?
Yeah, I hang around the folk club. I also hang around the bluegrass, but I don't fit in with bluegrass. There are some beautiful players there, some very competent people.
Do they kind of like shun you? I mean, are you not?
Well, I'm not in their class. I'm a different sort of a player. I don't scrug. You see, you know, that's a fairly. I'm too lazy. You've got to learn all that stuff up the neck and all those rolls.
Oh, yes,
You
ridiculous.
know, this frailing and drop thumbing and all that kind of thing is much easier. And besides, you write your own music, you're a complete master. There's nobody to tell you who's what, which, or why, or if anything's correct, you see.
Who are some of your? What kind of music do you sing? If it's not your own, what do you like playing?
Oh, I like everything. I like everything from romantic through anything. Mucky songs. I've got two or three. For instance, I found a friend of mine lent me this wonderful book of mucky songs. You know,
Well,
like
mucky mean-
frigging in the rigging and stuff like that. Dirty old British songs.
Like
and
body songs? Is it?
yeah, sometimes, yes.
Oh,
and this.
You know the joys of fornication, you know that one?
I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
Friggin' the Rigging, I believe the Sex Pistols covered that song.
It could well be. It's a popular old song, you know. We used to have it as our ship's signature tune, and when we first arrived here in 1974, I went up on foot and I found the Southport Bar, and we used to go in there, and we started singing this song. In fact, the Southport Bar, that first visit, led to my whole future life, because I walked in and I thought, oh, I'll ring the ship, tell them I found a pub, because I was on foot. And I went to ring, and of course, you know, you Americans, I went to ring the phone, and in England, you ring the number, when they say hello, you put your money in. Not here, no, money first, mate, up front. You know? So I tried to operate the phone, and there was a woman sitting there on the corner of the Raw Bar, and I said, excuse me, how do I operate this telephone? And she said, she said, you're English. I said, yes, and you're Irish. And we ended up together, and a liaison, etc. And that in turn led to, she introduced us to a bunch of people, and she came to Nassau and stayed on our boat, and all sorts of good things happened from it. And I eventually married her landlady, who is my present wife. But
Oh,
it's
lovely.
very funny. Often at one visit to a local boozery, and we used to sing Frigging in the Rigging, and at about that time a guy named Sunshine was doing T-shirts, and the one was No Muff, Too Tough, We Dive at 5. He sold hundreds of them. I still have mine, and it was the Fort Lauderdale 69 Club on the motif on the shirt, you know, and I believe sincerely that as a result of that we've got no frigging in the rigging T-shirts worn by little old ladies who've no idea at all that it really means a dirty old man taking advantage of a scared young boy in the upper rigging of a sailing ship.
So the 69 Club, there's 69 people in the club?
Yeah, well,
You
that's
got that?
probably a good idea, yes.
Well,
yes.
Robin, let's hear.
Let's
what
hear
song do you
friggin'
wanna
in the
play?
rigging.
No,
Friggin' in the rigging,
I
by
don't
all
think
means.
so.
After
No.
that build-up, Mr. Stock, how can you resist?
Because it contains a lot of nasty material, and unless you're for decadent older people, I would suggest not.
You probably lose some friends that way, unless all your friends enjoy that kind of stuff.
Well, it's, as I
It's a
recall...
funny little song.
Well,
It's
let's hear it.
Funny, I don't play
you
it,
know-
I just sing it, you know.
Okay. Well, no, I want
Let's hear
Mr.
it.
Poe. Please be quiet.
We want to
Robin,
hear an
let's hear
acapella.
the song.
Oh.
Who's what?
Who is that? Voice of God. All right, we won't hear friggin' in the rigging.
Okay. Well, anything you'd like to play, Robin, except friggin'.
Nuts and bolts and bits of steel go to make a fishing reel. Hang it on neath a big fat rod and hang it neath the belly of a fishing old sod. Fishing, fishing all day long. I like to sing this silly little song. Me, the sun, the boat and you, and with a bit of luck a little fish or two. Fishing, fishing all day long. I like to sing my silly little song. Me, the boat, the sun and you, with a bit of luck, the fish or two. Now fishing people need a boat with a solid hull that'll stay afloat. A rudder will complete the deal with a tiller or a steering wheel. Fishing, fishing all day long. I like to sing this silly little song. Me, the boat, the sun and you, and with a bit of luck, a fish or two. Thank you.
That's great.
I
That's a
screwed
real
up there.
fun song. That's a lot of fun. That's you have a real talent there for writing nice little funny songs.
Well, thank you.
And I think we have time for some poems by Lionel. You want to do the the inauguration?
I think I'll do the recent inauguration poem, but I also would like to do something. I'll do something that's more suited to Mr. Poe
Oh,
as
please.
well. So I'll do this one first.
Are you mad at Mr. Clinton because he didn't
No,
invite you?
not at all.
No.
I didn't expect it.
Oh.
Lightning, January 20th, 1993, to Maya Angelou. Disguised, cape-covered comic book superheroine presented as scholar, the poet rises, bounces, bounds, unfurls thunder of purple like Hopkins' great storm fowl, and pounces on everyone, everywhere, at once, tattoos the planet with white-hot majesty that is coolest water forever. That's, if you saw the inauguration, that was my impression.
We only have a few minutes
All right.
left, and I don't want to cut you off in the middle of the poem because that would be
All right, let's
really...
get this.
Lionel, we want to hear about
This-
your secrets.
This is for you.
Okay.
All right.
Arafat. 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 Where is that Arabat? That pharaoh, that Sahara rat. Views vary, are as disparate as anus and aristocrat. And maybe even more than that. Arafat. Arafat, Arafat, fey phantom of the Fatimat. Is he on Mount Ararat? Or is he in some laundromat? Would he dare go as far as that, whose head has handkerchief as hat? Where is that Arabat? Arafat.
That one I understood, Lionel. I like that. Was a good one.
That was good, Lionel.
I
Very
could.
good.
Lionel, please. Your secrets. You said you had some secrets that you were going to reveal on the show.
I did?
You did. When we went to your party,
Although
begged us to
my
put you on the
shameful
show.
secrets, I
Your
was
shameful
hoping you would forget that.
no way. That was the only reason we invited you.
That I've never been to. What's that place that Mr. Weiser associated?
We don't-
Tobacco Road. I've
Yeah,
never
okay.
been to Tobacco
Yeah,
Road.
well, okay.
Well, you don't have a car, so...
Never been to a ballet. Never been to Key West. I don't sit on the toilet seat. I sit on the bottom thing.
That's the one I wanted to talk to you about, Lionel. Why don't you put down the toilet seat?
I don't know. I got used to squat toilets over in Africa, and then when I came back to this country, I felt more comfortable just sitting on that bottom thing. Of course, in London, I heard that for a while they had problems with people from the Far East who were squatting on the toilet seats.
What, you mean it was without opening them up first? That would make things easier for Rottin because they wouldn't have as much sanitation to engineer.
But those are some of my shameful secrets.
Well, it's kind of interesting that someone could go to be so successful a writer and go be so successful on Jeopardy. Obviously, your knowledge is immense, and yet there are some still pockets in there that you.
Absolutely.
That's interesting.
What do you think about that, Rottin? Not sitting on the toilet seat.
Well, actually,
that's sort of your field
the back of my shirt probably says it, but...
what does it say? Well, let's see it.
Oh, all right then.
All right. You have to take off your microphone.
How
there,
appropriate.
Oh, I can.
No, if he takes off his jacket, the microphone will come up
I'm
with
ruining the stately home here.
Watch
well, since there's only a
for
couple
the
more
Chaos
steps
in
to the
Dollville.
program,
Huh?
I want to thank everybody
This
for
is
tuning
a
in.
special shirt, you see.
The special
See,
shirt.
this is, you
This way, this way.
Oh,
no, you can't say that,
no!
No, there's a dirty word
Sorry.
on there. But your microphone.
Yeah, microphone. Put your coat back on, quick.
Well, we
Before
only have
somebody
a
sees the
couple
back of that
minutes.
shirt.
I want to thank our.
Maybe something to you, but it's bread and butter to me upside down. That makes it decent, you see.
It may be something.
That's how Robin makes his.
Something with an
business.
SH.
All right, well, that just about does it for this edition of what's the name of the show?
Mr. Poe and the Mr. Stock Show.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in. We're here every Wednesdays at 3, every Thursday evening at 9 o'clock, and every Friday morning at 9:30. I want to thank our sponsors, Folk Club of South Florida, our producer who kind of sits in the wings and doesn't say anything, and Mark Weiser, who encourages all to visit Tobacco Road, even though Lionel never been there.
If Lionel doesn't go there, it's just not worth going.
It's just not there. And we just have, so thank you both. And I don't know, you want to do, what can we do
You
for
got
the
a
next
short
minute
song or a
so?
short poem?
I could.
Gotta be real
You want to
short.
jam, Robin?
Well,
You know,
I don't.
Yes, Lionel?
What?
no, I was thinking of this song I used to know that it's right up his alley.
Say it quickly, Lionel.
The hippopotamus, so it seems, seldom ever comes in has wet dreams. So when he comes in streams.